morning and welcome. We aired the first InfernoCon during 2020 as a way to give something of ourselves and fight back against a time of uncertainty and fear for the future. Since then, we have kept up the fight to keep the light shining in our little corner of the world and spread it to others by being kind, giving of ourselves, and by never giving up or backing down in the face of adversity and challenge. Today, 1 year later, I am honored to be able to introduce our brand new live event for 2021 that you're about to participate in with us, InfernoCon, the holiday special returns. While we are all thankful to have regained the opportunity to be together in person, we've not forgotten either the vast amount of good that we can do with a virtual event, or the people that we can help by reaching such a large audience. I ask that you join together in the spirit of the holidays with us today and help us raise money for Make-A-Wish, a group that directly benefits children and families who are going through some of the most difficult times in their lives. We have an amazing program for you today. We have special guests that will make you laugh, topics that will make you think, and we have some of the finest people I know that have worked together to make this event happen. The 501st Legion, Rebel Legion, Galactic Academy, Droid Builders, Saber Guild, and many others from our costuming community have taken time out of their lives to put their talent and creativity into this project. We are also joined by some very special guests, and I am thankful that all of these people share the same passion for investing in others and giving of themselves that were present when this path was begun with the first two InfernoCons that aired in 2020. We are also honored to be partners with Make-A-Wish for this event, and we want to take this opportunity to thank them for all of the good work that they do for others. Last year, an unofficial motto that we used is a quote from a man named Charles Beard. When it is dark enough, you can see the stars. Last year was definitely dark, but we did have light in our lives thanks to events like this and the people that you're about to see live on your screens for the next 12 hours. Welcome to InfernoCon. The holiday special returns.
Hello there. Hey everybody, James Arnold Taylor here, the voice of that fellow right there. And I want to wish everybody a very, very happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And I want to thank everybody for taking part in InfernoCon and Garrison Tyrannus, although, that name, I have a bad feeling about it. Anyways, all of you that the 501st, is just an amazing group of people, no matter where I've gone in the world. And I've been to a lot of places in the world for a lot of different Star Wars conventions and such. I am always amazed at the kindness, the giving, the love, the compassion, and just the sheer excitement for Star Wars and spreading the good news of it to people all over the world through all of the 501st. And yes, I know they're the 501st, but you know, What are we going to do with them? As an honorary member of the 501st, I am just thrilled to be able to share with you just some memories here of my favorite. Being inducted to the 501st was at Rancho Obi-Wan, Steve Sansweet's amazing, magical place. And my dear friend, Concetta Parker, who is, of course, a 501st member as well, she made me an honorary member and presented me with a plaque, and I was in my Obi-Wan outfit at the time. It was great fun, and that was many years ago. So I've been a member of the 501st now for so many years, and everywhere I go, when people see, I'm smiling thinking about it, you get cards. The cards, I love the cards. I should have had my card here. I have a card, and I love that we all have this communication in this way of just saying to each other, like kind of like a little, you know, gotcha, here's my card. And then you get to keep it, and then you collect them, and it's so fun. And yet, then you all go and do these wonderful things for Make-A-Wish and other wonderful charities, but you're doing Make-A-Wish here now and for InfernoCon, and I am just thrilled to be here virtually with you all, and I hope everybody's staying safe, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday season and getting ready for Christmas and New Year's. I know that the Taylor house is certainly going to make it a happy Star Wars Christmas, and maybe we'll watch that new Star Wars Christmas special. You know Obi-Wan's in there, don't you? Yes. Anyways, I can't thank you all enough for including me in your con here, your virtual con, and I wish but nothing but the best for everyone for this coming year, and that 2021 is maybe just a little different than 2020. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Here's hoping, and here's hoping to so much more fantastic Star Wars adventures and storytelling and just love of all things Star Wars. My absolute sincerest thanks to all of you in the 501st, wherever you are on the planet, serving the 501st and helping bring smiles to children and families and just people that love Star Wars. God bless us all. God bless all of you. Thank you so much. And of course, may the Force be with you, always.
All right, Final Jeopardy players. The category is organizations. Let's see your clue. In the United States and its territories, this nonprofit, whose roots trace to 1980, fulfills a word in its name every 34 minutes. 30 seconds. Good luck. Did you come up with this one? It was a toughie. What is Make-A-Wish? Yes, the Make-A-Wish Foundation grants a child's wish almost twice an hour.
What is a wish?
Captain, we're ready to dive.
It's adventure in seeing the unknown. It's imagination
We're ready to surface.
in coming up for air. But really, deep down, a wish is hope. Please, give now to grant wishes today.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in to InfernoCon. The holiday special returns. Hopefully you caught us last year. We're going to have some of the more same great programming. To kick us off, we have some members of the 501st Legion Command Team. I also want to point out that this whole programming today is to benefit the 501st Legion's Make-A-Wish Endowment Fund. So you should be able to see a little QR code on your screen. If you're watching on your computer, you can point your phone at it, or you can also go to wish.org/501st-fan and make donations to our endowment fund there as well. I'll start and we'll go around and introduce you to everyone who's on our first panel of the morning. So I'm Nikki Blum, DZ8397. I'm a Jawa for Garrison Excelsior, which is all of New York except for Long Island. I joined the 501st Legion in April of 2006. And funny story about that, I was actually pregnant at the time. So all of my Jawa submission photos are with an 8-month giant stomach. So that was somewhat amusing. I actually couldn't fit into my Jawa boots because my feet were so swollen. So I just had to send a picture of them separate and say, these are what they look like. I cannot physically put them on right now. So for the for Legion level, I'm the Legion event coordinator, and I'm also the Garrison event coordinator for my Garrison. For the Legion event coordinator role, I help answer the questions from the public as well as our members about different event guidelines and what we can do and not do, and how's the best way to do it, and all those fun kind of event questions. And I'm also part of the 501st Cast, which is a podcast that runs at 501st.com/podcast. And I've been doing that since October 2007. So I think that's most about me and what I do in the Legion, at least. So why don't we go next with our Legion commanding officer.
Oh, that's me. Yay. Hi, everyone. I'm Ingeli Hedberg. I am TI 3893 in 501st Legion. I come from Sweden, so I'm a member of the Nordic Garrison. We are a garrison of 3 countries, Norway, Sweden, and Finland. My first costume, I got that submitted and approved in 2012. It was what we call a reserve pilot. That is a TIE fighter pilot without the helmet and armor. And then about, I think it was 2 months later, I got the helmet and everything. It was a bit delayed. So then I got approved with that as well. That and gunner, Imperial gunner, is the costumes I have right now. I do have many more costumes in the making, including in Java, actually, Nikki, that sadly has been sitting there waiting for me for quite some time, but it will be done eventually. Yeah, as Nikki said, I'm the Legion commanding officer. That means that I am the chairperson of 501st Legion. I'm the administrative person which is if something goes wrong, it's my fault. If everything goes well, it's the people that actually did it that did something well. So that's awesome, actually. I've been the Legion commanding officer for a year and a half now. It's really good to do that because I get to meet a lot of people. So obviously I'm from Sweden, everyone else is from the US. So it's really cool to be here just because of that. I think that's enough for me.
All right, why don't we go with Vince?
I'm Vince, Legion charity rep, TK 23,000. I came into the Legion in 2013 with a Stormtrooper. And it snowballed from there. Every year since, I built some kind of costume, First Order, Commander Wolf. My latest one is Zuckuss, which is not the most comfortable, or I can't see nothing in this thing. But I've just been helping Legion with the charity stuff this year, and trying to find new and fresh ways to get our membership involved, and find new ways that we can support our communities with charities. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, show off your logo there on your shirt. Yeah. So yeah, you have the whole theme going on where we've been able to utilize the same imagery, but use it for a lot of different charity campaigns, which I thought was really cool.
Thanks.
Like changing the colors and whatnot. Yeah, you mentioned how I only have the Jawa, but I know a lot of people have multiple costumes. I was looking at the stats this morning. We have over 14,200 active members worldwide in the 501st Legion, but 31,000 costumes.
Oh, wow.
So definitely a lot of people have more than one costume.
Jawa's on the list. I'll get to the Jawa. Seems like a real easy, comfortable traveling costume. So
yeah,
I want to do the off-world Jawa.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, it fits. I was gonna say, speaking of Jawa hordes, uh, Scott lives in Jawa horde territory. But first, just introduce yourself, and then we can get more into Jawas. We could speak about Jawas for the whole panel. That would be fine.
Yes, well, my name is Scott Britt, and I'm from the Georgia Garrison, which, as Nikki said, is quite famous for the number of Jawas we have, and our sand crawler that has been featured in many Legion posts, and is involved in parades, and we just had it decorated with lights that they did for the first time for a parade this Christmas. So yeah, it's quite popular. But yes, they dance and it's quite festive. So yeah, I joined in 2017, and my first costume was white armor, TK, and after I did that for a little while, I decided I might as well jump in, and started working on a Vader from ESB, and that took a little bit, and was quite involved, and so that's kind of been my main character for a while now, and certainly I enjoy that one considerably, and it seems like folks can't get enough of Vader, so that's kind of my main one now. I haven't been in the white armor for a while. It seems like you just don't get to sign up for that when you have Vader and there's not enough Vader. So, but yeah, and so I do the Garrison events here in Georgia, and then work with Nikki. She already kind of laid out what Legion Events does, so it's a natural tie in there. I have enjoyed working with Nikki for the last 2 years now, and it's been great. And I'm glad to be here this morning and sharing some information and working on some helping with the Make-A-Wish endowment fundraising.
So the first panel of the morning, now we kind of got introductions out of the way, is titled "Come for the Costumes, Stay for the Mission." Why does the 501st Legion put so much emphasis on charity work, and what goes into making sure that the mission stays in the forefront of what we do? I know that my husband likes to refer to why people join the 501st Legion as sort of the 5 C's. So there's costuming, community, charity, collecting, and camaraderie. So obviously we could probably do sort of talk about all of those, but I do want to try to focus on charity as being the panel topic. So for my personal opinion, it's just really a good PR basically, is to make sure that we focus on charity, to really keep up with our branding of the bad guys doing good. That's what sort of brought us to Lucasfilm's attention, is that we were doing this, we were volunteering and volunteering for charity, and they love it, and so just makes sense to keep doing it that way. So I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on the charity aspect of the 501st Legion you wanted to expound upon.
Yeah, like you said, people join for multiple reasons. I joined for the charity aspect. I love the costumes. I love, the accuracy that we get, the step off screen look. But for me, it was always, attending a Down syndrome or an autism or even Relay for Life, and just bringing, the fandom to them, and also getting them out of their little headspace for a while of what they're going through with their real life. Like you said, Vader is always the most popular one. As soon as you see Vader step on the screen, it's like, everyone forgets about what they're doing or what they feel like, or, hospital visits. I've seen little kids magically jump up and start talking to you, want to engage with you, want to take photos with you. Those could be the hardest troops, but yet those are the most rewarding. I got into it again because of the charity aspect. Me and my family do Relay for Life every year, and I've met so many people. through our communities and through our charities that it's just, for me, it's been amazing. For coming onto the Legion level, I wanted to bring like, fresh ideas, fresh ways of trying to look at things, make new contacts, and wanted to really know what the rest of the world does for charity, because I know what US does. But it's been interesting and fun to find out what Japan does, what Canada does, what they do in Brazil. And that, I think, even connected us even more as far as membership and helping each other when real life really hits the fan a little bit. So that's I have always done it for the charity.
I think actually, Vince, that you hit on something that is really cool with our garrison, our Legion, and the different garrisons around the world, because no matter where you go, every garrison does charity. And we do both global charity and we do local charities, and some is completely similar. Some are different, but we all do it for the same reasons. And I don't think that I know any garrison around the world that don't want to do it to make kids happy. And that means that you actually, as you say, you go to the hospitals, to the kids' hospitals, and try to cheer them up. And I've been doing that, and every time I'm so happy that I have a helmet, because then the kids can't see me cry, because I'm a mother myself, and it's so horrible to see those kids. But you also see the fact that you bring them joy, even though, I mean, we are the bad guys. And once in a while, when you go there, you look at the kids happy to see the bad guys, and you think, what's wrong with them? And then I remember that I was the same when I was a kid. I liked the bad guys. So it's not crazy at all, but it's also very nice to see that we all can come together globally when we have so much issues with countries all over the world, but on our level, with Star Wars as the combining thing, the one thing that brings us together, we can do charity around the world, and it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I would agree with everything everyone said. I think the costumes might be the draw, but the charity is what keeps you here. I've done the hospital visits as Vader. And I've missed them. We haven't done a lot of those because of the last 2 years. Hopefully, maybe next year we can get back to doing those. But yeah, I mean, those are, every one of them has their own special moments. And I think that the nice thing about the 501st is that, there is money raising for different charities, but there's faces that you see actually as a part of this directly, rather than just going and doing something that raises a bucket of money, which is important, but you get to put some faces to actually see what you're doing, the reward of the joy you can bring to what you're doing, and some of the relief. We have a local charity that we do that's similar to Make-A-Wish, that has kids that have similar type issues that we bring, that we would go and help with before they go and do their trips. And I mean, we follow them throughout their journey, and grieve with them and their families as the story goes on. So it is hard at times, but I think it's worth it. I think it keeps you grounded. I think it keeps everything in perspective just a little bit. And I don't. I mean, I think it's all. I wouldn't give it up. I think I'll just leave it at that.
So I had a few other questions that I thought would be fun sort of discussion points for our panel this morning. Now, it doesn't have to be a charity event, but that would be good if it was, since to keep with our theme, but your favorite or most memorable event since you became a member of the 501st Legion. Anybody want to start?
Well, since I was just talking about it, let me start with that. My most favorite, I have two. So, but the charitable one that I was just talking about was with Bert's Big Adventure here in town, and they would do an annual trip similar to Make-A-Wish, where they would bring families in, and these kids have either terminal or very life changing or issue medically, and we would every year our garrison would be involved with joining them in awarding these families their trips, and they would always do a big surprise party and reveals, and so we would also often we would find out that they would always go to Disney, so we'd find out that maybe one of them was a huge Star Wars fan. The most memorable one for me was a few years back. One of the kids was a huge Star Wars fan, and they asked us if we would be willing to make some things for him to go with. And so several of us in our garrison made, and we've actually done this multiple times, so this is not exclusively to this one time, but we have often made props to give to the kids, and in that particular year we made a bucket, and one of our talented members made her son actually donated his, he was growing out of it, but he decided to give up his kid-sized armor, TK armor, made out of one of the Battle Buddy white armor.
Remember those statues? Yeah.
Yep. And the garrison put together basically a suit of armor for this kid that was going to be going down for his trip and stuff. And so we presented this all at that party when they got awarded their trips. And so, and we still get like emails and videos and things of him, running around with the helmet and things like that. And so that would be, those would be the ones that really stick in your mind, and that there's others that are, what was your most, back in the old days, we got to do some pretty spectacular things, and some things have changed over the years, but getting to lead as Vader in some symphony things was pretty special for me. But yeah, that would be it for me.
So for me, the one that sticks out in my mind the most, when you guys were talking about hospital visits, we had made a hospital visit to a young woman who's a huge Star Wars fan, and I went as a Jawa that time, and I think we also had brought, I was also controlling my R2 unit at the time as well. So I was sort of super focused on, making sure I can see so I don't bump into anything, making sure R2 doesn't bump into anything. So sometimes that, helps take my mind off, the emotional aspect of the hospital visit, because I have so much that I'm trying to make sure I don't, wreck hospital machinery. I did bump into a stormtrooper once. That was unfortunate, but he was okay. But she was just so frail in her bed, but she just still exuded excitement when we came in her room, and I was so happy we were able to visit her. But the bigger shock was when it was a few months later, at least 6 months at least, we were doing an event at a children's kids museum, and then all of a sudden she comes rolling up in her wheelchair and stands up, and I had no idea she had been able to come out of the hospital, that she was able to stand. And so I was in my Jawa at the time too, fortunately, so I just started bawling and we did our pictures with her, And then I'm like, I need to leave the floor because I have so much gunk inside my Jawa mask right now. I need to clean up. So that was definitely my most memorable, is when you get to, see someone and, recovering, or at least doing somewhat better than when they were hospitalized, and encounter them in another arena other than a hospital. So that was very, very emotional.
For me, it's always been Relay for Life for cancer. I started before I joined the Legion, and once I joined the Legion, I made it a point to create a annual garrison event. Once I started learning a lot about the members, a lot of us have had family or friends or coworkers, or cancer has almost affected everyone at some point. So it's mainly a annual thing where we can get together and either honor, celebrate, or troop together, hang out together, raise some money for cancer. And it's been awesome. We've done it now for probably 8+ years. So that's probably one of my favorite ones. My most memorable has to be a Make-A-Wish we did at Skywalker Ranch for a little boy. I was actually a handler with 2 TKs and a Vader. Our Vader, Chris Green, who's the detachment leader for the Sith Lords, did such an amazing job. I literally forgot I was there as a handler and thought Chris was Vader. Like, he did this 30-minute monologue off the cuff with this kid that everyone in the room bought, to the point where he even force pushed a TK and the TK jumped into the wall. And at the end of the day, Chris, the little boy's thing was he wanted to go to Skywalker, he wanted to eat lunch with droids, and he wanted to meet Vader. So at the end of the day, Vader gave him his saber, and it was really cool. But I always bring that up because Chris, for me, I was like, it turned me back into a little kid. I totally forgot that I know this guy. It was like, I wish we would have video or footage of something, but that always sticks in my head every time I talk to another Vader. I'm like, oh yeah, I had this one Vader. But yeah, it's I think almost every charity event I've ever done, there's always been that one kid that runs up to you or talks to you or does something that makes all your time, your effort, you're sweating, you're crying, you're sitting in a zuckus for 2 hours. It's always worth it at the end for me. So yeah, let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what you said, Vince, about kids running up to you and hugging you. I mean, that is one of the most wonderful things. And one time we don't have Make-A-Wish as a organization, or we didn't have back then, I would say, in Sweden, but we have something very similar that's called Min stora dag. That's my big day in Swedish. And that's basically exactly the same thing. Very sick kids and their families get to do something that the kid wants to do. And it's, I was thinking it's 8 years now, almost 9 years ago. We met this, it was 5 kids, but the smallest one was only 4 or 5 years old. And she was an avid Star Wars fan, and she had cancer, and she was really down. So she was being rolled around in the stroller because she couldn't walk because she was so tired. But she had 2 absolutely hilarious situations that sort of stuck in my head. The first one was everyone in our garrison did some kind of parade at the con that everyone was going to, and afterwards she and the other 4 guys and boys that were also from this organization, they were to meet all the characters. And she had a thing for Darth Vader. I mean, honestly, who doesn't? But she was 4, and usually in that age, Darth Vader is kind of scary. But when she saw Darth Vader, she sort of pulled my hand and said, "Can I go and hug him?" And I was like, "Yeah, if your parents say you can." And they were like, sure, looking, because she's been so tired. And she sort of jumped out of the stroller and ran over and just grabbed hold of one of Vader's legs, because she was so small and Vader is rather tall. And Vader stood there. He had no idea what happened, because you can't see a thing in your costume. So he just stands there and sort of tried to feel with his hands. And lo, there around the knee, there's a small kid, and he sort of pats her on the head, and she looks so happy. It's absolutely wonderful. She sort of just like the sun. She was like the sun. There was a bright star in there. And when she had hugged Vader, it took a while to sort of pry her loose from Vader's leg and get her to move on. And she met with R2, D2 and everything. And then I asked, because I were their guide at this, I asked, do you want to meet Boba Fett, the real Boba Fett, because he's here? And that was Jeremy Bullock, of course. He was at the con. And she was like, Boba Fett? Yes, please. And the other boys as well. And then we went to Jeremy, and you know, you met him. He was a very sweet, but a bit older guy than she believed him to be in his costume. So she was absolutely adamant that's not Boba Fett. and Jeremy, being the sweet guy that he was, and his wife, of course, they tried with everything they got to, because Jeremy didn't speak Swedish, and this little girl of 4 or 5 wasn't speaking English. So she was in her stroller and doing that, not Boba Fett. And Jeremy was determined to get her to turn around. So it took him pulling out a photograph of himself in the Boba Fett costume, but with the helmet off and holding the helmet. He brought that out of he had all these maps with pictures and stuff. He brought that out and showed her. And then she actually believed him to be Boba Fett. I had to translate all these things. And it was lovely to see. So she was very sick, but her love for the characters was so clear. And it's actually, I mean, I have no idea what happened to this girl. I sincerely hope she got that cancer beaten, because if there is anyone I would be happy to join into the ranks of our garrison, that would be her, because she knew everything about the characters, except, of course, that Jeremy had aged in those 30 years or something since he did the movie. It was so fun. And it was also very touching, because she wanted to go back to hug Vader. And you have Vaders, you know how it is to stand in a Vader and not see anything, and it's warm in those leathers and everything. And he was so patient with her. It was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, those are the best memories.
So speaking of we kind of spoke already, I suppose, of some of our costumes that we already have, but I was curious if you guys had any dream costumes that you maybe don't have in the works yet, but you're hoping to do down the line.
I mean, I'm working on Jango Fett. As you can see, I'm a little bounty hunter, you know.
That's your little niche.
Yeah. So I'm doing Jango Fett. My son keeps jumping around on costumes of he wants to do. First it was Sith Trooper, first it was Clone Trooper. Then I told him I'll give him Jango and I'll do the new Boba Fett, the fresh looking Boba Fett. But until he decides, like, really, like, not 2 days before a con type of situation, we'll actually make something for him. I have 2 Jawas that I want to do at some point. It's never ending. It's always like, oh, that's a cool costume, or that's a cool costume, or you do a troop and you're like, oh, I forgot we have that costume. I mean, I believe if we all had the time and money, we would literally have every costume that we can create at this point. But yeah, Jango Fett's probably the next one I'm going to complete. Mr. Zuckus here took me over a year. I love him. I love the way he looks. Don't love to troop him, but
yeah, I do have. I've always, since I was a kid, and so Boba Fett the first time, I've always wanted to be Boba Fett. So that has been my dream costume for, oh my God, I turn 50 soon, so that's been a while. But I actually, when The Mandalorian came out, I realized I have one other Mando that I want to do, and that is the Mando that have oh my God, I can't actually remember the word. He is standing next to Mandalorian and shooting a heavy gun. I think that it's called the Heavy Gunner Mandalorian when we do the CRLs, but he is telling Mando to take the kid and run. We got this, and then he starts. Boop, 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 boop. I want that Mandalorian. That is my absolute dream costume, and it's been since I saw that. So obviously, I need to do some kind of Mandalorian costume as we get going.
So my sort of practical dream costume has always been to finish Admiral Dala. Ever since I joined the 501st Legion boards, that's been my avatar for my forum account, but I've never gotten the costume done. So that's since 2006. So that's still my practical dream costume. And then my little girl dream costume, I guess I should say, would be Leia's Bespin outfit, like the maroon jumper with the white flowy decorated cape. That's always been my dream outfit.
I don't really have anything in the works, but I might have to be not so busy to come up with something in the future. But I don't know. Once you kind of get to Vader, it's kind of like, well, if you do that, are you not going to wear I don't know. I haven't really figured out the next step.
Yeah, my husband has the same problem when he built his Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Basically, there was no need to wear any other costume because anytime an event host heard that we have a Chewbacca, that was it.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, there's a few things I still need or want to probably upgrade or change, and there's always things to do and maintain. So, I have not thought that far ahead.
I want to add Chewbacca to my list now.
It's a lot of fun, but
I'm a little shorter, so I know I'll have to be on stilts, which I'm not looking forward to. But every time I see someone in the Chewie and just the people's reaction to Chewie, it's And Peter was such an amazing, nice guy. I would love to portray Chewie, but that's way down the line.
Yeah, back when my husband built his, he was only one of like less than a dozen, I think. He built it for Celebration 2 or Celebration 3. That was in Indianapolis. And so just mobbed. We like at the convention, it took forever to walk from like one end of the hallway to the other because no one had really ever seen any Chewie cosplayers before. So definitely a lot of fun. And my husband is on stilts. So he's a little under 8 foot, I think.
Wow.
By the time, the stilts and
definitely takes more than lifts.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what else. So going back, so who or what or how did you first get introduced to Star Wars? I'm assuming for all of us, it was when we were a lot younger. You guys remember that far back?
In the 80s, I watched cartoons a lot. I was into G.I. Joe, Transformers, so Star Wars just naturally fit into that. And I always rooted for the bad guys. There's a few good guys that I like Snake Eyes, but for the most part, I've always been bad guys. And when it came to Star Wars, how do you not gravitate toward the costumes, the armor, the TKs, the Vaders, Boba Fett, versus, rebels who don't, they have a cool lightsaber. I love Obi-Wan and whatnot. I always gravitated to the hard armor, especially trooping. You go to a hospital, if you're not wearing a helmet, you're going to see a whole lot of ugly. So I've always just gravitated toward the bad guys. So I can just remember watching cartoons, watching all that, and naturally watching Star Wars and other movies like that, and just gravitated toward that, really.
So did you first see them like in the theaters or on VHS, or do you remember?
I don't think. I know I didn't watch the original Star Wars in the movie theaters. I was probably like one. I might have watched ESB, but I can't recall. The only movie I remember watching as a kid was E.T. That's like my first experience in a movie theater was E.T.
Yeah, I got traumatized by that one. I remember that. I made my mom go to the store to get Reese's Pieces after the movie. That's all I remember. But I was young enough. Well, I was old enough that I could have gone to a movie theater, but I don't remember actually going to the movie theater. I was told that I saw Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the theater, but I don't remember it. I do remember having all of my action figures in a little action figure case, and I made all of the neighborhood children play Star Wars with me. I remember all that. So I'm not quite sure who got me into it. I know my mom bought all the action figures for me, so we'll just say my mom got me into it.
Well, ESP was my first in the movie theaters that I recall. But I believe I had I'm almost sure that I had a teacher in high school that was obsessed with Star Wars and kept talking about it quite a lot. And for me, actually, in the beginning, it was the ships. I was way more fascinated with the ships. Of course, TV wise, Star Trek was the big thing, and I still very much like Star Trek. So there are many of us that like both.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed both, but ESP was the one I remember seeing, and that's one of the reasons I both like the original ESP Vader the best, and that's why I picked that one. And it was the one I remembered. It's my favorite movie, so that was why I picked that Vader.
Do you remember how you got started?
Well, I'm old enough that I could have been to the first movie on the theater, but I lived in a very rural area of Sweden where you don't have theaters. So my actual that I know that I saw Empire Strike Back on VHS rental, and that was when I actually fell in love. I mean, that coincided with my period in life where I liked everything space. So when that movie came, it hit home right away. And I never were rooting for the good guys ever. I've always been gravitating to the bad guys from the beginning. So when everyone was, in love with Han Solo or Princess Leia, I was more Vader, Boba, yay, kind of thing. So, but I never had any toys or something like that because my mother didn't believe in girls playing with boy toys, and Star Wars was obviously boy stuff. So I had to wait until I grew up so I could get all the toys. But it was actually me that got into it, and then I sort of got my brother into it instead. So he got dragged along. I'm always the worst nerd when it comes to those things. So read series and books. When they started writing books, that was when I really got into it. Yeah. But early 80s, it started with Empire Strike Back on VHS and then went downhill from there, as you say.
I think we're just about reaching the end of our panel time. So I wanted to make sure to kind of go through and let folks know some of the other panels that we have coming up during the rest of the programming. So after us is Speedy Fighters Battles for Naboo, and I'll never put my controller down. So a gaming panel. So those who are into gaming, make sure to check that out. At 11 o'clock Eastern, is I woke up, ran downstairs, and saw Star Wars in my stocking. So that one will be sort of a Christmassy themed panel talking about the holiday season. Then at noon, it'll be watch out for those pesky Jawas. They're always looking for scrap. It'll be a panel to introduce you to the droid builders. So I'll be back on at noon with some droid builders to talk about that. At 1 o'clock is more than just a few beyond main characters. So we'll have some special guests on there to introduce you to and to try to focus on some of the characters that make up the shows that aren't getting as much screen time. 2 o'clock is You Don't See Us, but You See Our Work Everywhere. So that'll I believe has some more guests that are behind the scenes that make some of the Star Wars magic. At 3 o'clock is As Did Your Father Before You, Star Wars as a Family Affair. So that panel will introduce you to the Galactic Academy, which is sort of I call it the junior division of the 501st Rebel Legion. It's anyone who is 17 and under can join that, whereas the adult groups obviously are 18 and older. Next will be You'll Never Find a More Wretched Hive of Frustration and Inexplicable Problems, but I'll Never Quit. That is for 3D printers. So I know those are a great source of equal frustration and fascination. There's so many amazing things that you can build with them, but sometimes there's so many frustrating problems to get them to do what you want them to do. So at 4 o'clock, you can go and commiserate with those guys. At 5 is Imposing, Inspiring, and Iconic Capital Ships and Their Legacy. So there you go, Scott, you might want to turn into that one. I'm going to be talking about some of the big ships from the Star Wars universe. At 6 is We'll Show You the Way. We've been there before. So that is going to be talking with our Walking Wounded detachment. So that's sort of a subgroup of 501st Legion members who are battling either physical, mental, emotional, any sort of concerns that they have. They've all sort of banded together to lend support to each other. At 7 is We Bring Action Figures to Life. So that'll be talking about sort of how a costume goes from the screen onto us friendly neighborhood costumers. And then finally at 8 o'clock will be the last panel, sort of be a wrap up and a special holiday video. So lots and lots of programming all day long. I think we have a couple more minutes, so I kind of wanted to do the question. So if you were made into an action figure, what accessories would come in your package? So it can either be, you as a person or you as your 501st Legion character. So I'll start. I'm just going to do my action figure as a Jawa. So I would have to come with R2-D2 because I always troop with my droid. I was kind of disappointed when we were getting ready for this. Scott's like, "Where's your droids?" Because usually I always have them parked right next to me whenever I do a live. But now that we're back to trooping, he's in the transport ready to go to the next event. So it was too hard to bring him back into the house again. So definitely I would have to have R2 in my package with me, and probably my ion blaster. I like trooping with the gun. Anybody else?
Oh, well, Vader can't go without his lightsaber. So, I actually just upgraded my had one of the other garrison mates upgrade my lightsaber to one that does all the bells and whistles and plays music. And
I was gonna say, does yours play Baby Shark? Because our
Baby
Darth
Shark.
Vader, he was at an event and he pressed the wrong button, and all of a sudden it was this like.
Oh, it might, because it does a bunch of stuff and I haven't used it yet. But
like, what is going on?
I don't know. It probably does. It has all these different fonts and things that it does. It's very cool. I haven't used it yet. But it probably does, because it plays a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm not sure if I figured it out yet. So, but yes, accessory would have to be lightsaber.
Oh my God. I can just imagine standing there trying to be a serious Darth Vader and go, baby shark. Well, that would be horrible. If I was a TIE fighter pilot, as my costume is, obviously it would be with a TIE fighter as the accessory. If I were to be an action figure as me, myself, it would be with a big mug of tea. That is, it need to be a Star Wars mug as well, obviously, because that is the only thing I drink from. But yeah, that would be me.
I'd probably do Zuckuss. I would love a droid that's more of an R2 unit battle or bounty hunter type. I would say IG-88, but he's no sidekick because he's his own character. So I would say a R2 unit that's more bounty hunter-ish. And a big cup of coffee. That's what.
All right, so we'd like to remind everyone that all the programming today we're doing to benefit the 501st Legion's Make-A-Wish Endowment Fund. So make sure to check out the little QR code on the screen, or also wish.org/501st-fan. You can go there and see all the details about our endowment fund. So thank you everyone for joining me this morning, especially if you had to get up early in different time zones. I'm glad the time zone worked out for Ingley, though. I was afraid it was going to be like 3 in the morning, not 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it was 3 in the afternoon here, so that's why it's completely dark here in Sweden already, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was very nice to be here. Thank you, Nikki, for asking us.
Yes, welcome.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
I don't like the look of this.
Greetings from the Directorate of Galactic Intelligence. We wish you a warm and happy holidays on behalf of Garrison Tyrannus, and have a welcome and wonderful new year.
Hello, this is Kylo Ren, DS72147 of Inferno Squad of Garrison Tyrannus. I am here to wish everyone a happy holiday and a great new year.